Well, it's Sunday, May 20th. I'm here at Lake Oroville, California, and we're right in the path of seeing the entire annulus, a ring, during the solar eclipse. And so I'm here to take photographs with my 5D Mark II, and with a 70-200 lens and a 1.4 times teleconverter. And to filter the sun, I'll be using 3 filters, a 0.9 ND, a 0.6 ND, and a polarizer. I've already done tests with this and found that I'm able to take good sunspot photos, so I have high hopes that I'll get good photos of the eclipse today, which starts in about an hour and a half or so. And so I'll show you the results afterwards. Well, I'm back from Lake Oroville, and I've imported all the photos into Adobe Lightroom. And I've picked out 13 of them for a little abstract that I'm going to make. Now, of course, included in that is the one showing the complete annulus of the eclipse. And then I've picked an equal number at about the same intervals from before the eclipse and after the full eclipse. And so let's make a little abstract out of that. All of these ones that I picked are all adjusted, so let's import them into Adobe Photoshop. Now that all the images are in Photoshop, I want to align them so that I'm going to make the one showing the full annulus in the middle, and then sort of like ears or something, have them spread out along the sides. So to do that, since all of these are at an angle because of the angle I was shooting them from the ground to the sun, I need to make sure they're all straight. So to do that, let's go to the one image previous to the full annulus, and let's straighten it out. First, we need to convert it from a background image into just a regular image by double clicking and clicking OK. And so I want to make sure the horns of the sun are vertical above each other. So let's just drag a guideline here and rotate it. And let's drag it so that the horns are exactly even with that guideline, or it doesn't have to be exact, but as close as possible. Alright, and then I'll just keep doing the same thing to all the images until all 13 of these are done. Alright, now I have all the images aligned, and you can see as I page through these, this forms an almost kind of animation of sorts, but that's not what we're going for. We just want to make sure they're all aligned. So now let's just use this full annulus as our basis. It's as good as anything else. And let's start putting the image together. So let's once again take the image from just before the eclipse, or the full amount of the eclipse, and just drag it onto our full annulus image. Now we can close this. And of course now the new image is hiding the full annulus image, so we need to use this blending mode to fix that, to let all the images come through. Now, to pick one, what we really need is for the blackness to disappear to nothing, and just the sun image to show through. And the mode for that is screen. And so there you go. Now, we need to get these aligned. So what I'm going to do is cut this image into quarters. And Photoshop, because it has the smart guides, which I'm not sure, but I feel like Apple came up with that idea for their iWork suite and their iLife suite. Adobe has the same thing. And if we just drag this, it stops right smack in the middle. Same thing for the vertical guide, stops smack in the middle. Now it looks like our full annulus image is just about there. I'm just going to eyeball this, and it looks like that cuts it into even quarters. So now if I select layer 1, which is this image, I can align it just eyeballing it to be about halfway through vertically. And then the other thing I want to do is to make these edge images to sort of get smaller as it goes farther to the edge. And to do that, I'm going to scale this numerically. To do that, you just click one of its handles, and then it shows these entries that you can type in here, including scaling. So first we have to lock horizontal and vertical so that anytime I change the width, it'll also change the height by the corresponding amount. And so let's make this 90%. Let's make it 85. That seems about right. Now remember that number, 85. So now let's go to the image just after. Let's see, right there. And we'll drag this off and drag it onto our base image. Once again, close that. We don't need it anymore. And once again, set it to screen mode. Now again, I'll click a handle, lock horizontal and vertical, and make it 85%, just like the other image. And once again, we'll align this so it cuts it in half vertically. Set that to be just eyeballing about the same distance from the center as the one on the left. Alright, hit return. And then let's show you the next one. And once again, we'll drag this off. Drag its image on screen mode to screen, or blending mode to screen. And set it so that vertically it's halfway across that line. Click its handle, lock horizontal vertical. This time we'll try 70, and that seems about right. We have to move that a bit, and then let's see, apply that, close this, and we'll do one more, one from after the eclipse. Drag it off, move it onto our base image, close it, set the screen mode to screen again, blending mode, I keep saying that. And again, click its handle, and I said 70, I hope, 70%. And then once again, make sure it's cut in half vertically, and again, set it to be about the same distance as the one on the left. Alright, so we're well on the way to making this work, and I'm just going to keep doing this until I've done all the images, and I'll show you where we're at when I'm done. Now I have all the images all spread out, and you can see it here. Nice little abstract design. And so let's turn off that rectangle and turn off the guides. Command semicolon does that. Now we have all these pixels out here, so let's just go to the bottom and make a solid black color. And drag it to the very bottom. Now we have a nice layered file with all these images all nicely lined up. Now before we flatten it, let's add a little glow around here. And to do that, I actually started with a full sun image. So let me go get that. Alright, so here's a full sun image, and interestingly, you can even see some sunspots on it from that day. So this was an image of the full sun before the eclipse started, and I'm going to add this to the mix, and that should up near the bottom. Let's pull it all the way up to the top and just work with it for a minute. Let's save here. Now, what I want to do is to give it some special effects, make this sort of stripy, wavy pattern coming out. But there's nothing in nature I can think of that's like that. Maybe a little bit like the solar prominences during a total eclipse, not this annular eclipse. So now I'm going to give it a lot of grain by going to the noise filter. And we have to be kind of careful about this. The fact that the background turns gray is okay because we're going to fix that, but we don't want it too much. Alright, so there we go. Now let's add a curves adjustment layer. Press Option Command G, which I believe is Control Alt G on Windows, and that makes that layer apply only to this grainy layer that we've got here. And so let's make that grain very high contrast. Alright, Now let's merge these two layers. Right click and say merge layers. And start using the radial blur. Now this is a very hard filter to use because it's not very convenient. Just use draft quality and zoom and 100%. Say OK, and there we go. That's close enough to center. And I'll press Command F or Control F on Windows and to reapply this filter over and over and over to make this a much bigger burst. Alright, that's probably good enough. Now I'm going to make a solid black color behind it and then merge those two. Then I'm going to drag it to the bottom of the stack, or almost the bottom. Now we don't see it anymore, and that's because the full annular eclipse layer needs to use the blend screen mode. Okay, now I actually want the full annular eclipse to block out these rays. So to do that, let's do a little trick. Okay, so here's a full sun image. I'm going to use the curves to increase it to just make it a solid white disk. And we'll flatten this. And the trick here is I'm going to use this as a layer mask. So let's copy it. Now how do we make that a layer mask? Well, make sure our glow is selected. Make a layer mask for it. Then go to the channels layer. Here we see the different red, green, and blue channels and the combined channel. We need to enable or make visible the mask layer and turn off the visible channels. And now we can paste our sun image. Now just to make sure this is all kosher, let's eliminate these white areas. And to do that, we see our background color is black. So let's fill this with a background color. And the easy way to do that is to press Command or Control backspace. Now let's do that on the other side. Command or Control backspace. In a mask, where it's black, that hides the layer. And where it's white, that shows the layer. That's the exact opposite of what we want. We want the hole to be punched into the middle part of that glow. So we really need a black ball and white around it. So, easy way to do that is to press Command or Control I to invert it. Now let's re-enable the regular layers and we can see our layer mask in red, misaligned, but that's fine. Turn that off, and now let's go back to the regular layers tab and let's get that aligned. Let's zoom in, make sure the layer mask is selected, and then we'll unlock the layer mask from the layer. That way we can move the layer mask without moving the layer itself. So let's make sure our arrow is selected, or we can type V and use the arrow keys to nudge it into place. And there you go. Now I think it's showing a little bit of the black at the top and the bottom, so it's a little bit big. So let's shrink it down just a tad. Show transform controls and click on a handle. Now this is a handle for the layer mask, not the layer pixels. Lock horizontal and vertical first. And let's zoom in so you can see what we're doing. Oops. Let's just type in 99. And see how that looks. Let's move it down a little. But I think that's fine for demo purposes. Now let's zoom back out. The next step is to stylize this glow a little. And there's a couple of things we can do for that. I'm first going to make it sort of wavy and uneven, sort of like the solar prominences that you see in a total eclipse, which I'm sort of trying to emulate even though we have an annular eclipse. So to do that, I'm going to use a handy Wacom tablet and stylus, because this is a Intuos tablet, so it's pressure sensitive like most Wacom tablets are, though not all. The bamboo line is not, I believe. So to do that, let's make sure our glow is selected, and let's go to the liquefy option here. You can see the stylus pressure is grayed out, but now if I wave my pen over the tablet, that stylus pressure gets enabled. So make sure this first option, the forward warp tool is selected. And now let's just start warping this image. Oh, I don't want that. And generally I'll use a strong pressure towards the middle and then ease it off towards the edge. And we'll just keep doing this. So I don't like those last two. So undo those. Those are a little strong. So just curve our way through. Okay, that's probably good enough. Now the edges are a little sharper, even though they're not very sharp, but they're still a little sharper than I'd like. But that's okay, we'll fix that in a bit. Click OK. So now let's make the edges not as sharp, and for that I'll use another layer mask that gradually fades out as it gets to the edge. Now I already have a layer mask right here, so let's duplicate the layer and hide the second one. And so now I'm going to delete this layer mask. Well, why would I want to do that? That's because it gives you an option to either just delete it or to apply it, meaning to actually punch that hole. And so we'll apply. So now we have this hidden layer with the original glow, and now we have a new one with that hole punched in it. Now let's make a new layer mask, and we'll use the gradient tool, and we need the radial gradient, and what we want to do is show it in the middle and gradually hide it at the edge. And so this is the right mask for that. This is foreground to background with white on the left, which is the middle of a foreground or of a radial blur, and black at the edges. And so now we'll make sure it's selected. Start in the middle and we'll just drag it out. And let's make it a little softer, so I'll drag it farther. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Let's see what it looks like when you're close. Yeah, that's just too small. Yeah, that looks good to me. Now another thing we can do, and to do this I'm actually going to drag this to the very top of the pile of layers. Which is okay because the original hole we punched in is still there. Because what I want to do now is I want to color it. Let's make it a rich red color, and there's many ways to do this. I'll use a hue saturation. The other thing I'll do is press Option Command G or Control Alt G on Windows on that layer to make it apply only to the layer immediately below it and nothing else. So now let's click Colorize. Okay, that looks good to me, except yeah, let's make it a little darker. I may reduce the saturation a bit, and notice it's not making the rest of it red because we did that Command Option G. Now let's make all the other suns a little yellower. So we'll do another hue saturation layer, and we'll move it below the glow. Now I don't want to do the Command Option G here because I want it to apply to all the layers below. And so let's colorize and make it sort of a orangish, yellowish, reddish. Increase the saturation, reduce the lightness. And there you go. Alright. And so what else can we do? I think the last step is to make this whole thing tilted, again just for style. Now the easiest way to do that is to flatten this image. Now in case I want to make changes later, I don't really want to flatten it. I just want a copy of the image that's flat. So the easiest way to do that is to select the very topmost layer and press Shift Option Command, or on Windows that would be Shift Control Alt, and then tap the E key. So now that combines all the layers into one layer at the very top. Now rotate this layer. So select the arrow tool and just rotate. And that seems pretty good. Now you notice we've got some parts where it's not hiding. It's black anyway, but just to be sure, we're going to hide the other layers. So I'll press Enter first to lock in that rotation. Hide all the other layers by clicking those eyeballs, but still show that last black layer. And so there you go. So that is roughly how I made the original image that I posted to Flickr. This is a different variation of it, of course, and I just wanted to show you some post-processing on a sort of unusual event that happened. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it was helpful, and I'll talk to you next time.